ma'am. Kausalya, ma'am.
Isma,
You can proceed, ma'am.
shall we start?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Ma'am, you can proceed now.
Nitya, ma'am, shall we start?
Yes, ma'am, you can start.
Okay. Good evening to all. On behalf of Hindustan College of Engineering and Technology, Coimbatore, I am very happy to welcome everyone for this 1 week international FDP on application and implements of mathematics. This is the seventh day. Today's topic is an introduction to fractional differential equations. I first wish to thank our HOD ma'am, Dr. KP Uma, Department of Mathematics, Science and Humanities, for supporting this FTP. And also, I welcome faculty coordinators, Ms. Kritika and Dr. Purnima, and student coordinator Varsha. I feel privileged to welcome and introduce our today's resource person, Dr. Vinod Vijay Kumar, Assistant Professor, NB and Singat College of Engineering, Maharashtra. He has completed his PhD, Shivaji University, Kolhapur. She has totally 15 years of experience. Under his experience, he has got many achievements and awards. Recognized as a PG teacher and research guide in mathematics, recognized by Vishwesvaraya Technological University as a research supervisor, and got Academic Excellence Award bestowed in the years 2007 to 8, 13 to 14, 14 to 15, and 18 to 19. Awarded as the best teaching faculty in the year 2012 to 13. He has published Handbook of Mathematical Formula and published 14 research papers in international journals and 12 national journals, presented several research papers in international and 12 in national journals, presented several research papers in national and international conferences, and delivered more than 15 guest lectures. Now, I welcome the guest speaker, Dr. Vinod Vijay Kumar, and all participants for this wonderful and informative session. Thank you. Sir, welcome you, sir.
Good evening, everyone. At the very outset, I would like to thank for introducing me in a very nice manner. It's my privilege to address the enthusiastic participants and galaxy of intellectuals. Always, it's a matter of pleasure for me to incite such an active participants. Also, I must thank the management of Hindustan College, principal, the HOD of Mathematics Department, and the organizers for organizing this 1 week FDP during this pandemic situation so as to utilize this time for our development as far as mathematics subject is concerned. Topic which I have got is such an interesting one as this provides an excellent instrument for the description of memory and hereditary properties of various materials and processes. As you can see the topic on the screen, an introduction to fractional differential equation. So this is outline of my presentation. First, introduction, motivation for definition, fractional differential equations, applications, and at the end, references. As a mathematician, we know that it has several branches that deals with beautiful and interesting concepts. One of that is calculus. So one can roughly say that calculus is nothing but differentiation and integration. So fractional calculus is the name of the game. Mathematics is the art of giving things misleading names, the beautiful and at first look mysterious name. The fractional calculus is just one of those misnomers. which are the essence of mathematics. For example, we know such names as natural numbers and real numbers. We use them very often. Let us think for a moment about these names. The notion of a natural number is a natural abstraction. But is the natural number itself is natural? That is the question. The notion of a real number is a generalization of the notion of a natural number. The word real emphasizes that we pretend that they reflect real quantities. The real numbers do reflect real quantities, but this cannot change the fact that they do not exist. Everything is in order in mathematical analysis, and the notion of real number makes it easier. So is the fractional calculus. Thus, fractional calculus deals with the fractional differentiation and fractional integration. It is the natural tendency of human being that we are not comfortable with any new concept for or terminologies is called as fear of unknown. But as soon as we get familiar with that concept or terminology, we tend to feel comfortable. In course of time, let us take an example of mobile phones, for which initially we are not aware about its operations and functions. Still, we are eager to get acquainted with that functions. So the purpose of this seminar is to introduce the fractional calculus in a gentle manner rather than the usual definitions, lemma, theorem approach. So as we are studied in say classrooms, we explore the idea of fractional derivatives by considering some familiar examples like exponential functions, trigonometric functions, functions of powers of x. All of us are familiar with normal derivatives, so that is ordinary derivatives and integrals like df by dt, d2f by dt square, integration 0 to t, f of u du. We have first order, second order derivatives or first integral, double integral of a function. We know that geometrical interpretation of first order means tangent exists at that point. It means slope. It also represents a rate of change and velocity, or rather it may represent speed. Second order derivative means it is acceleration and so on. Geometrical interpretation of integration a to b f of x dx means it is area under the curve from x equals to a to x equals to b. Now we wish to have half order, say pith order, or so it is 3 minus 6 ith order, so that is complex order derivative of function. So fractional calculus, that is derivatives and integrals of arbitrary, real or complex order. Now what is fractional calculus? Now fractional calculus is the study of dq by dx raised to q of f of x. Now see that here you may familiar with that notation, d raised to n by dx raised to n of function. So Leibniz notation to find out nth derivative of function. So that nth derivative, or you may say that as successive differentiation of functions. Now here dq by dx raised to q of f of x for arbitrary real or complex value of q. Now as I said, the term fractional is a misnomer. Now q need not be necessarily be a fraction or it is a rational number. Now see that here if q is greater than 0, we have fractional derivative of order q, and if q less than 0, we have a fractional integral of order minus q. Now after listening this, some questions might have raised in your mind like, does it make any sense or is just a mathematical fantasy? Define it. Tell me how to calculate the half order derivative of f of t equals to t, or you may take any arbitrary order derivative of that function. This seems to be a recent stuff. How old is it? Does it have any physical interpretation or geometrical meaning? Why study it? How it is important in engineering? What's the deal? How much serious is the research community about it? What are its applications? So should we discard the integer order derivatives? Through this presentation, we'll try to get all the possible answers to these questions. Now, history of fractional calculus. So it is as old as classical, or it is ordinary integer order calculus. So it born in 1695. See, so this is too much old. The origin can be tracked back to the end of the 17th century, the time when Newton and Leibniz developed the foundations of differential and integral calculus. Leibniz introduced the symbol d raised to n by dt raised to n of f of t to denote the nth derivative of function f of t, and by using that formulas we are able to find out the derivatives of standard functions. The concept of fractional calculus is properly believed to have stemmed from a question raised in the year 1695 by L'Hopital to Leibniz, which sought the meaning of Leibniz notation d raised to ny by dx raised to n for the derivative of order n belongs to capital N, so it is set of natural number. What if n equals to half? In his reply, dated 30th September 1695. Now you can note that 30th September 1695 is the birth date of this fractional. Leibniz wrote to L'Hopital as follows. Now here L'Hopital asks, what if the order will be n equals to half? Leibniz replied, it will lead to a paradox from which one day useful consequences will be drawn. So in these words, so that fractional calculus was born in 30th September 1695. So that means this is too much old, as old as calculus. Now here you will get the answer of the questions. How much serious is the research community about it? Now let us see the history of fractional calculus. Here I can list the contributors who plays vital role in the development of the theory of fractional calculus. Now 1783, so Euler introduced the gamma function as generalization of factorials, because we know that factorial is not defined for negative integers. So to overcome with that difficulty, so Euler, so in 1783 introduced the gamma function, so which plays very important role in fractional calculus. In 1812, so did Laplace. 1819, Lacroix. 1823, so that was the Abel, who uses that derivative of order half for solving the Tata-Cruz problem. So that will be the first attempt to solve a application or to apply that fractional calculus to any problem. So 1832 to 1837, so Liouville. Then Riemann proposed a formula for the fractional integral in 1847. Then 1867, so it is Grunwald. 1868, Letnico. 1869, Sonin. 1872, Letnico extended the idea on Sonin. In 1884, Laurent obtained the fractional Riemann-Liouville integral and derivatives. Now this derivative is very important as far as fractional calculus is concerned. In 1938, Ries considered the Ries potential, which can be expressed in terms of Riemann-Liouville derivatives. Now 1967, M. Capito proposed the formula, so that gives you Capito derivative. So again this definition is very important. In 1974, the first conference dedicated to fractional calculus. In 1974, the first book about fractional calculus, so which is written by Oldham Spaniel. 1998, so that there is first issue dedicated to this particular topic. Now in this slide, let us focus on some Indians who are contributing in fractional calculus. So these are some of the Indians who are working on that same area. Professor H.M. Srivastav, University of Victoria, Canada. Professor V. Lakshmikantam, Florida Institute of Technology, US. Professor K. Balchandran from Coimbatore. Professor Varsha Getji from Savitribai Phule Pune University Pune, from Professor S.D. Kendre from same department, Professor K.D. Kuche from Shivaji University, Kolhapur. Apart from this, there are so many Indians who were contributing in the same area. And also there are many foreigner authors who contributed in this fractional calculus. Now rigorous mathematical theory has been developed. So integer order calculus is the special case. So that means you can convert that fractional order to particular case by putting different values. So it reduces to integer order calculus is the special case. Geometrical interpretation or physical meaning exists, but not as straightforward as for the integer order derivatives. Now just we know that for that integer order derivatives, so that will represent different physical and geometrical proper meanings. Now for that fractional, it is generally known that integer order derivatives and integrals have clear physical and geometric interpretation. For example, so geometric interpretation of first order derivative is slope of the tangent at a given point. So that is important, at a given point, and its physical interpretation is speed, which is one of the example. However, in case of fractional order integration and differentiation, which represent a rapidly growing field both in theory and in applications to real world problems, it is not so, since the appearance of the idea of differentiation and integration of arbitrary, not necessarily integer order, there was not any acceptable geometrical and physical interpretation of these operations for more than 300 years. Pourlombi shown that geometric interpretation of fractional integration is shadows on the walls. So once again I repeat, geometric interpretation of fractional integration is shadows on the walls, and its physical interpretation is shadows of the past. There are more than 15 definitions of fractional derivative operator. Now meaning of a raised to n, we are familiar with that exponent. If n is positive integer, then a raised to n is the result of multiplying a by itself n times. If n is not positive integer, can we visualize a raised to n as multiplication of a by itself n times? Particularly, if I can take n equals to half, is a raised to half the result of multiplying a by itself half times? Or one may can take any other value. If I can take pi, so is a raised to pi is the result of multiplying a by itself pi times? Fractional calculus is field of mathematics study that grows out of the traditional definition of calculus, integral and derivative operators. In much the same way, fractional exponents is an outgrowth of exponents with integer value. Now basic idea. In calculus, we have formulas for nth order derivatives. So all of you are familiar with this. When n is positive integer of certain elementary functions like the exponential function, trigonometric function, and a powers of x, and so on. In a naive way, these formulas may be generalized to define derivatives of arbitrary order of those elementary functions. Assuming the following results, in a naive way, we can define arbitrary order derivatives of a functions. So linearity of the operator dq by dx raised to q, where q is any real for constant c1, c2 and functions f1 of x and f2 of x. So dq of dx raised to q, cube derivative of c1 f1 of x plus c2 f2 of x is equals to, it is c1 cube derivative of f1 of x plus c2 cube derivative of f2 of x. So one may take that plus as minus, so that preserves that cube derivative of c1 f1 of x minus c2 f2 of x equals to c1 cube derivative of f1 of x minus c2 cube derivative of f2 of x. Composite rule: for arbitrary p and q, p derivative into q derivative of f of x is equals to, it is p plus q derivative of f of x. The naive approach yields arbitrary order derivatives of the following classes of function. Now here I can categorize, or we can categorize these as in terms of two types. So functions expressible using exponential functions, functions expressible as power series. Now see that there are so many functions. So with the help of that definition, we can able to write down that function in terms of exponential functions, and by using Taylor series method, you can express that function as a power series function. For positive integer n, we have nth derivative of e raised to x. So with the help of successive differentiation, one may derive that result, or one may family with that a raised to n into e raised to ax. Now in that naive way, if I can replace that n by q, where q is real or complex, we define q derivative of e raised to x equals to a raised to q into e raised to ax. Now using linearity, we have, now why I can use that linearity, because with the help of Euler's formula, we know that e raised to I theta can be expressed as cos theta plus I sin theta, and if I can apply that previous formula and then by using comparison or linearity, I may get that q derivative of cos x as cos of x plus q into pi by 2, and sin q derivative of sin x, it is sin of x plus q into pi by 2, or one may use usual method and apply naive approach. Now we introduce some special functions which also plays an important role in the study of fractional calculus. Now many of us are familiar with that standard special functions. So first one is the gamma function, second the beta function, and third one the Mittag-Leffler function. In 1729, Euler introduced a function in the form of an integral commonly known as gamma function. The interesting interpretation of gamma function is the generalization of the factorial of real numbers. The gamma function is denoted by gamma p and is defined by integral 0 to infinity e raised to p minus 1 into e raised to minus t dt. Note the well-known properties of the gamma function. So gamma p plus 1 is equals to p gamma p. If n is positive integer, then gamma n plus 1 equals to n factorial. Also we know that gamma 1 is 1, gamma half is root pi, and gamma 0 it is not defined. We know that the gamma function is not defined for negative integers and 0. The values of gamma function for some real numbers are as follows. So gamma half, it is root pi, gamma 3 by 2. By using that previous property, I can write down gamma n plus 1 as n gamma n, and after simplification here we will get that it is root pi upon 2, gamma 5 by 2. Again by repeated application, so it is 3 into root pi upon 4. Thus we can generalize, so it is gamma of z plus half is equals to 1 into 3 into 5 up to 2z minus 1 into root pi whole divided by 2 raised to z. The beta function is also known as the Euler integral of the first kind, which is an important notation in fractional calculus. The beta function is denoted by beta mn and is defined as beta mn is equals to integration 0 to 1 t raised to m minus 1 into 1 minus t raised to n minus 1 into dt. So it is convergent if that m and n is greater than 0. We have basic and useful property of beta function. The beauty of the beta function can be found in its symmetric property. Now we know that beta mn is same as beta nm. The following relation between the gamma function and beta function again plays an important role in the development of fractional calculus. So beta mn equals to gamma m into gamma n upon gamma m plus n. Again there are several properties of beta function. So already we are familiar with that. So here I can take only important one. Mittag-Leffler function is named after Swedish mathematician who defined and studied way back in 1902. It is direct generalization of exponential function. So Mittag and Leffler introduced one parameter function. It is commonly known as Mittag-Leffler function of one parameter. Now this function plays again important role in the development of fractional calculus. The first, for one parameter, the metamolecular function of one parameter is denoted by E alpha of z and is defined by, in terms of power series, as E alpha of z is equals to summation k runs from 0 to infinity z raised to k upon gamma of alpha k plus 1. So here condition on that alpha is greater than 0. Similarly, the metamolecular function of two parameter is denoted by E alpha beta of z and is defined as E alpha beta of z by equation 1, that is summation k runs from 0 to infinity z raised to k upon gamma of alpha k plus beta. Alpha is greater than 0 and beta is greater than 0. Now see that why it is so important. So if I can put that different values of parameters alpha and beta, then it reduces to some standard known functions. So here in equation 1, if I can put alpha equals to 1, beta equals to 1, then equation 1 reduces to E of 1 of z. So it is summation k runs from 0 to infinity z raised to k upon gamma of k plus 1. And by using property of gamma function, so gamma k plus 1 is k factorial, so that it is summation k runs from 0 to infinity z raised to k upon k factorial, and this is nothing but power series in terms of z, and this represents exponential series, so it is e raised to z. Second, if we put alpha equals to 1, beta equals to 2 in equation 1, then we have E of 1, 2 of z, it is summation k runs from 0 to infinity z raised to k upon a gamma of k plus 2. If I can multiply and divide by z, then it is 1 upon z, summation k runs from 0 to infinity, it is z raised to k plus 1 upon k plus 1 factorial, and if I can sort out that, then that term represents e raised to z minus 1 upon z. For positive integers m and n, we have nth derivative of x raised to m. Now here the numbers m and n are comparable, and in successive differentiation you might have studied this formula and see that there are m and n are integers, so that means these two are numbers, so that means numbers are always comparable. Whenever that order exceeds that power, then the derivative becomes 0, and whenever power equals to order, then it gives you n factorial. Otherwise, if n is less than m, then it is m into m minus 1 into m minus 2 up to m minus n plus 1 into x raised to m minus n. By using successive differentiation, you can derive that formula, and to get that in compact form, let us multiply and divide by missing terms, and let us convert it to gamma m plus 1 upon gamma m minus n plus 1 into x raised to m minus n. Because once you can convert it to gamma function, then it is possible to apply naive form, and by using naive form, I can replace that n integer by q, it is real or complex, and let us define qth derivative of x raised to m, it is gamma m plus 1 upon gamma of m minus q plus 1 into x raised to m minus q. Now functions expressible as power series. If f of x has a power series expansion, f of x equals to summation r runs from 0 to infinity cr x raised to r, then for arbitrary q, real or complex, we define qth derivative of function f of x. Now by using linearity and by using previous result, we can write down this as summation r runs from 0 to infinity, it is cr into gamma of r plus 1 upon gamma of r minus q plus 1 into x raised to r minus q. By exponential function approach, we have half derivative of 1. Now see that one may write down that 1 as e raised to 0x, e raised to 0 gives you value 1, and half derivative of e raised to 0x by using exponential form, it gives you 0 raised to half into e raised to 0x, and that comes out to be 0. But if I can apply power function approach, we have half derivative of 1, again 1 can be written as x raised to power 0, then half derivative of x raised to 0. By using previous case x raised to power m, I can write down that as gamma of 0 plus 1 upon gamma of 0 minus half plus 1 into x raised to 0 minus half. So numerator is gamma 1, and by using property gamma 1 gives you 1, and denominator gives you half 1 minus half plus 1, so it is gamma half, and gamma half is root pi, so that answer is 1 upon gamma square root of pi into x. Now see that this shows that naive approaches produces inconsistent result, and this motivates the researcher to overcome with this inconsistency and to define formulas. Now we change the notation slightly. We consider a function f of t of the real variable t. So you can use other variable also, no problem. We consider derivative of different orders of f of t at t equals to x. Now we write down that first derivative at t equals to x, f of t. So with the help of operator d, it is dx1 of f of t, which is same as d by dt of f of t at t equals to x. So like that, dx square dx2 f of t as d2 by dt square of f of t at t equals to x. Formulas for derivative. So this is usual definitions. So dx1 of f of t, limit h tends to 0, f of x minus h upon h. So dx2 of f of t, so it is limit x tends to 0, f of x minus 2 into f of x minus h plus f of x minus 2h upon h square, and so on. Let n be a positive integer, then the derivative of order n of f of t at t equals to x is given by dxn of f of t, it is limit h tends to 0, summation j runs from 0 to n minus 1 raised to j, so binomial coefficient nj into f of x minus jh upon h raised to n. So this is the original formula for derivatives of order n. The formula for dnx f of t in the given form is not suitable for generalization. We derive an equivalent formula which is suitable for generalization. Now for that purpose, so choose fixed a less than x, choose a positive integer n, set h equals to x minus a upon n, and we let n tends to infinity. Note that binomial coefficient nj is equals to 0 for j greater than n. Using gamma functions, we have minus 1 raised to n into nj is equals to gamma of j minus n upon gamma of minus n into gamma of j plus 1. The derivative of order n of f of t at t equals to x can now be expressed in the following form. dxn of f of t, so it is limit n tends to infinity into bracket, it is 1 upon gamma of minus n, summation j runs from 0 to n minus 1 into bracket, gamma of j minus n upon gamma of j plus 1 f of x minus j of j into x minus a upon n whole divided by x minus a upon n raised to minus n. So this is the generalized formula for the derivative of order n. Observations about the generalized formula. The generalized formula apparently depends on constant a. The original formula does not depend on any such constant a. There is no inconsistency. It can be proved that when n is positive integer, the generalized formula is independent of the value of a, and that the generalized formula and the original formula give the same value for dxn of f of t. The original formula for dxn of f of t in the original form has no meaning when n is not an integer. The generalized formula is meaningful for all values of n. For all values of n other than positive integers, it depends on a. To signify this dependence on explicit, we denote the value of the generalized formula by, now see that there is script a dxn of f of t. When n is positive integer, we have a dxn of f of t is equals to dxn f of t. So that means in that case the generalized formula is same as our regular formula, that is original formula. Let us imagine the generalized formula for derivatives as the one true formula for derivatives. We consider ax dn of f of t as the derivative over the interval. Now it is closed interval a to x and not as the derivative at t equals to x. So that plays very important role. So generally in ordinary differentiation we can find out the derivative at point t equals to x, so at a point, and in this generalized formula, so it defines in the interval a to x. In this sense, the derivative is not a local property of a given function f of t. It is a local property only when the order of derivative is a positive integer. The formula for the nth order derivative and the formula for the nth order integral are special cases of the following unified formula. To the limit n tends to infinity into bracket, it is 1 upon gamma of minus q into x minus a upon n raised to minus q into summation j runs from 0 to n minus 1 into bracket gamma of j minus q upon gamma of j plus 1 into f of x minus j of x minus a upon n. This gives the nth order derivative when q equals to n and the nth order integral when q equals to minus n. We call this the differ integral of f of t over the interval a to x, and we denote it by dq by d of x minus a raised to q of f of t or a dx q of f of t. So this is the notation for differ integral. Now let us take the differ integral of 1. So it is a dx of q of 1, it is equals to x minus a raised to minus q upon gamma of 1 minus q. Now let us take particular cases for values of constant a. If in that first case, if I can take a equals to 0, then differ integral of 0 dx of raised to half of 1 by using substitution. So it is x minus 0 raised to minus half upon gamma of 1 minus half. It gives you 1 upon square root of pi into x. And if I can take particular value of a as minus infinity, then minus infinity dx of half of 1 is equals to 0. The inconsistency in the naive approaches has now been resolved. Fractional derivatives using the power function give the fractional derivative over 0 to x, and fractional derivatives using the exponential function give fractional derivatives over open interval minus infinity closed interval x. Did you notice a definition of fractional derivative involves an integration? Integration is a non-local operator as it is defined on an interval. So fractional derivative is a non-local operator as it is defined in that interval. Calculating time, fractional derivative of a function f of t at some t equals to t1 requires all the past history, that is all f of t from t equals to 0 say to t equals to t1. Fractional derivatives can be used for modeling systems with memory. Calculating space fractional derivative of function f of x at x equals to x1 requires all non-local f of x values. Fractional derivatives can be used for modeling distributed parameter system. Now new fractional derivatives. So here I can list some of the new fractional derivatives. So first one is Machado derivative, chain Machado derivative, Coimbra derivative, Katu-Gampola derivative, Capito-Katu-Gampola derivative, Hilford derivative, and that Hilford derivative now recently the emerging field should is Psi-Hilford derivative, Davidson derivative, chain derivative, Atagnan-Balanou derivative. So that Atagnan-Balanou derivative plays important role to deal with that models that relates with HIV/AIDS problems, and there are so many other fractional derivatives. While we are dealing with any of the new fractional derivatives, one has to keep in mind that which properties or basic ideas it has to be preserved so that others can accept. So one by one see that properties. For integer orders, it must give classical derivatives and integrals. Zero order derivative, so it becomes function. So d raised to 0 by dt raised to 0 of f of t equals to f of t. As usual, we are familiar with this property. The next one is commutative, or you may say the index law. Nth derivative into mth derivative of function f of t is d raised to m plus n by dt raised to m plus n of f of t. Then it preserves linearity, d raised to n dt raised to n of lambda f of t plus mu g of t, where lambda and mu are constant. So is equals to lambda nth derivative of f of t plus mu nth derivative of g of t. So it obeys product rule or Leibniz formula. Again, it follows that chain rule. Most widely used definitions of fractional derivative are Riemann-Leibler fractional derivative and Capito fractional derivative. During the last 4-5 decades, the theory of fractional calculus has undergone rapid development due to the work of Oldham, Spanier, Miller, Podlomy, Kilbas, Ross, and many other researchers. Today, there are many international journals and books which are devoted entirely to the subject of fractional calculus. For example, Journal of Fractional Calculus and Applied Analysis, and many more. Many mathematicians have defined the concept of fractional derivative and fractional integral in terms of special function. Riemann-Livre fractional integrals and fractional derivatives, Livre fractional integral and fractional derivatives, Capito fractional derivatives, Edley-Kober type fractional integrals and fractional derivatives, Adamar type fractional integrals and fractional derivatives, Riesz fractional integral differentiation. So let us start with definition. Fractional integral. Let f belongs to C of AB, space of continuous functions from A to B, and alpha greater than 0, then the expression I a alpha of f of x. Now see that here the script A that denotes lower limit and that alpha represents its order. I a alpha of f of x equals to, it is 1 upon gamma alpha integration from a to x into x minus t raised to alpha minus 1 into f of t dt. So where that x lies in between a to b is called Riemann-Livre integral of order alpha. Now fractional derivative, for let n minus 1 less than alpha less than equals to n belongs to set of natural numbers, then the expression d alpha of f of x equals to d raised to n by dx raised to n of I a n minus alpha of f of x is called Riemann-Livre derivative of f of order alpha whenever the expression on the right side converges. Now see that for now here topic is fractional differentiation, but to calculate that fractional derivative there is need to take the help of fractional integral. So that's why I can introduce that fractional integral. Now for example, if I wish to find the Riemann-Livre fractional integral of the function f of x equals to x of order alpha equals to half. Now half integral of function x. By definition, in that definition, if I can put f of x equals to x and alpha equals to half, so that definition turns out to be I0 plus half of x is equals to 1 upon gamma half integration 0 to x t upon x minus t raised to half dt. And we are familiar with that evaluation of that integral. As usual, I can start with that substitution. Substituting x minus t equals to u, so that turns out to be dt is minus du. And whenever we are dealing with definite integral, always concentrate on that limits. What happens with that limits due to that substitution? T equals to x, u equals to 0, t equals to 0, u equals to x. So if I can use that changes in that definition, so 0 I0 plus of half of x is equals to, it is 1 upon gamma of alpha, gamma of half integration 0 to x, x minus u upon u raised to half du. And here I can mention that calculation, and if I can do that steps and after calculating here you will get that half integral of x as 4 by 3 x raised to 3 by 2 in upon square root of pi. So this is the half integral of x. If I can take function f of x as x, and if I can change that value of alpha, say alpha equals to 3 by 2, so it is 3 by 2 integral of x. So it is again on that same line. If I can do that calculation, so that integral gives you value 8x raised to 5 by 2 upon 15 into root pi. Again, if I can vary that alpha equals to 5 by 2 for the function f of x equals to x, and on the same line, if I can do that calculation, so it gives you 5 by 2 the integral of x is 16 upon 105 into square root of pi into x raised to 7 by 2. If somebody wants to evaluate, so it is half integral of 1. Now generally we know that whenever we can deal with that ordinary or it is integer order calculus, so we know that integral of 1 it gives you value x, but here integral of 1 of order alpha it gives you on that same line it is 2 into square root of x upon pi. If somebody wants to find out alpha equals to 3 by 2, so that means it is 3 by 2 integral of 1, so it gives you 4x raised to 3 by 2 upon 3 into square root of pi. Find the Riemann-Leibniz fractional derivative of the function f of x equals to x. So here is the answer of that question. What when n equals to half. So here order of that differentiation is half. That is half derivative of x. Now it is quite interesting. Now we are familiar with that to find out first order derivative of x, second order derivative of x, and so on. We are familiar with that integer order differentiation of functions of x. Now here it is half derivative of x, but now half derivative of x. So by using that definition, if I can use that values and if I can do that calculation, after simplifying here, I will get that half derivative of x equals to, it is 2 into square root of x upon pi. Now here see that order of integral and differential operator is equal and equals to half. Again, we consider the RL, we can say that Riemann-Leibniz, so it is RL fractional derivative of some functions, f of x equals to x, when alpha equals to 3 by 2, so that is 3 by 2th order derivative of x. It is d alpha of f of x, it comes to be 1 upon square root of pi into x, when f of x equals to 1 and alpha equals to half. Now see that here it is quite interesting. So f of x equals to 1, so that is constant function, and by using ordinary calculus or it is integer order calculus, we know that derivative of constant is 0. But here you can observe that RL derivative of constant, that is 1, so that is not equals to 0. So half derivative of 1, after doing the calculation, it gives to be 1 upon square root of pi into x. Similarly, 3 by 2 derivative of 1, it gives you, it is minus 1 upon 2 into x raised to 3 by 2 into square root of pi. Now see that, now by taking that look of that fractional derivative of type Riemann-Leibniz, now see that, now what happens with that capital derivative? Applied problem require definition of fractional derivative allowing the utilization of physically interpretable initial conditions. Capito reformulated the more classic definition of the Riemann-Leibniz of fractional derivative in order to use integer order initial conditions to solve his fractional order differential equation. Now by initial conditions we know that again there are different types of conditions. So it is boundary condition, integral conditions, and so on. Now the capital derivative of order alpha for function f from 0 to infinity to r can be written as, nowadays, now here you can observe that notations. So that C denotes that name of that derivative capital, and that scripts a and t, so that gives you limits, and that alpha defines that order. So capital derivative of order alpha of f of t is equals to 1 upon gamma of alpha minus n integration a to t fn of tau upon t minus tau raised to alpha plus 1 minus n into d tau. So here n minus 1 less than alpha less than n. Now here, now with the help of that previous slide, we are familiar with that what happens with that fractional derivative of constant. So it is not, it is different from 0. But whenever we can take fractional capital fractional derivative of constant, it turns out to be 0. That overcomes with that difficulty. Now for example, find the capital fractional derivative of f of xt is equals to e raised to 3x into t square. So capital derivative of order half of e raised to 3x into t raised to t square is equals to, so it is fractional integral of order half or dabba by dabba t of e raised to 3x of t square. And if I can do that calculation after simplification, so here stepwise calculations are given. So let us go with that answer. After doing that calculation, here you will find out its required derivative. So it is 8 into e raised to 3x upon 3 into root pi into t raised to 3 by 2. Now fractional differential equation. Now whenever we can say that differential equation, so we know that definition of differential equation. So an equation which involves at least one derivative is called as differential equation. So differential equation of fractional order occur more frequently in different research areas and engineering such as physics, chemistry, aerodynamics, electrodynamics of complex medium, polymer, rheology, control of dynamical systems, etc. A fractional differential equation is a differential equation where at least one of the differential operator is of fractional order. Now this is the simplest definition of fractional differential equation. Now for example, d alpha of y of x is equals to f of x y of x greater than 0, alpha belongs to r plus 1, where we assume initial condition are given in the form y of 0 is equals to y0 of I takes values from 0 to n minus 1 and belongs to set of natural number n. Now it is known that for 0 initial conditions, the Riemann-Livre, Gronov, Letnikov and Kapitov fractional derivatives coincides. This allows a numerical solution of initial value problem for differential equation of non-integer order independently of the chosen definition of the fractional derivative. For this reason, many authors either resort to Kapitov derivative or use the Riemann-Livre derivative. In 18, V. Lakshmikantam and A. Vassala systematically studied basic theory of initial value problem for fractional differential equations involving Riemann-Livre differential operators of order 0 less than q less than 1 given by dqx is equals to f of tx with initial condition x of 0 equals to x naught. Now that see that there is condition on that q is lies in between 0 to 1, and if q equals to 1, so that fractional derivative that turns out to be ordinary derivative. Now analysis of fractional differential equations has been carried out by various researchers. Del Bosco and Rodino and Elsey have proved existence and uniqueness theorem for the nonlinear fractional differential equation d alpha x of equals to f of tx, where 0 less than alpha less than 1, where d alpha is the Riemann-Livre fractional derivative. Now whenever we deal with that existence and uniqueness theorems, now there is need to apply or take the help of fixed point theory. Now fixed point theorem guarantee the existence of a fixed point under appropriate conditions on the map T and the set X. Banach fixed point theorem, or you may call that contraction principle, is the most useful tool as it gives both guarantees the existence and uniqueness of a fixed point. Here, just I give you a brief idea about implementation of Banach fixed point theorem. Now, whenever we can consider a fractional order problem, for this first we consider the operator. That means first I can convert that differential equation into an equivalent integral equation. Then I can define operator, and then I can show that that operator is invariant and contractive mapping, which gives you desired solution, and then apply Banach fixed point theorem and get that uniqueness. But unfortunately, the requirement that our map be a contraction map, that limits its utility. Now what? There are other theorems like Schauder fixed point theorem, Leray-Schauder-Schaefer fixed point theorem, Krasnowski's fixed point theorem. They have a relaxed condition on the mapping, but stronger conditions on the domain and codomain. These theorems only assert the existence of a fixed point, however, not the uniqueness. Daltheimer and Ford have investigated the following type of fractional differential equation: d alpha of x of t minus x of 0 is equals to f of tx. So numerous problems in physics, chemistry and engineering are modeled mathematically by system of fractional differential equations. For example, Atanakovic and Stankovic have formulated motion of an elastic column fixed at one end and loaded at the other in terms of a system of fractional differential equations. So that comes that application. Now Daftarar Geji and Babakhani have studied this system of equations d alpha of x bar of t minus x bar of 0 is equals to a of x bar of t with initial condition x bar of 0 equals to x0 bar and 0 less than alpha less than 1. Here that A is an n cross n real matrix. They have further investigated this system of nonlinear equations d alpha of x bar of t minus x bar of 0 is equals to f of t of x bar of t with initial condition x bar of 0 is equals to x0 bar. Also, Daptardar-Gaggi and Jafri employed Adam and decomposition method to solve the linear non-linear system of fractional differential equations, which gives numerical answers to any order of desired accuracy. Exton, Wang and Zhu investigated the existence and uniqueness of solutions to the non-local problems of fractional differential equations in Banach spaces of type dq of x of t equals to f of t x of t with non-local condition x of 0 plus g of x equals to x0. Also established new sufficient conditions for the existence and uniqueness of solutions by means of fractional calculus and fixed point method under some suitable conditions. Now let us summarize differential equations involving fractional derivatives. Example is d2 by dt square of y of t plus a dt 1.5 y of t, so it is half order, so plus b of y of t is equals to f of t. So that equation involves both ordinary as well as fractional derivative, so linear and non-linear terms. Now existence and uniqueness of solutions established. Analytic solutions are difficult to evaluate, but dedicated elegant numerical methods exist. So here I can list few of that numerical methods. Adam and decomposition method, an iterative method, so one may use or one may extend it to new iterative method, predictor corrector method, Euler method, RK method, so Daptardar-Gaggi and Jafri method, or one may go for that monotone iterative method, or you may take the help of upper and lower solutions. There are so many methods, or with the help of that comparison part, you may find what happens with that solutions of that given differential equations. Now application part. Whatever the part we have seen so far is theoretical and technical. Now we'll try to understand the practical and day-to-day life implementation of the fractional order. As you can see two pictures in this slide. These are the tools which are normally used by us in our daily life for different purposes. For example, repairing of any machines, we do find these tools in the toolkit provided with the two-wheeler or four-wheeler. Also, normally many of us keep these tools at our home. Picture on the left side is example of integer order calculus. So here you can observe there are different tools with different sizes, as these tools are for specific purpose used in workshop, garage, etc. And picture on right side is example of fractional order calculus, because this tool is adjustable. Now one may refer it as arbitrary. Why it is arbitrary? According to your need, you may adjust that tool. So indirectly, we are applying this concept in day-to-day life. So this is the first example. Now let us take another example for more understanding. During this pandemic situation, the salons and barber shops were closed. So many of us purchased trimmer for haircut. Here, left side picture shows different types of razors which has specific use in salons. This represents integer order calculus. The picture on right hand side also represents trimmer with adjustable razor or with advanced version, which is the ultimate example of fractional order calculus. So I hope these two examples might have cleared the application of fractional order in day-to-day life. Whenever there is adjustable, so that deals with fractional, and whenever it is fixed, that deals with integer order. So we cannot adjust that term, adjust that tool. In addition to the above examples, here is the list of applications of fractional differential equations. So one by one we'll see that. Viscoelastic materials, polymeric materials, acoustic wave propagation in inhomogeneous porous material, fluid flow, dynamical process with self-similar structures, dynamics of earthquakes, optics, geology, biosciences. So many of that are related to engineering field or other fields. Electrical engineering. Nowadays we are familiar that there is a fractional model equations. Now see that in this universe none of the system is perfect. So to give that best solution, there is need to convert or model that has fractional order, so it be adjustable. So in electrical engineering, so we are dealing with that fractional order models. So whenever we go for that electrical engineering, so maybe there are controllers, and we in that controllers you may use fractional differential equations. Rather, why we can go for that fractional order PID. Now that is the recent emerging trend. Economics, probability and statistics, astrophysics, chemical engineering, signal processing. Here I can list that more applications. So viscoelastic material, polymeric materials, acoustic wave propagation in inhomogeneous porous material, fluid flow, dynamical processes with self-similar structures, dynamics of earthquakes, optics, geology, biosciences, electrical engineering. So whenever we deal with that electrical engineering, so we are able to model that integer order differential equations to fractional order. And why we are not going for that fractional order PID? So that is the emerging field. So one may concentrate on that particular area. Economics, probability and statistics, astrophysics, chemical engineering, signal processing, chaotic dynamics. Even fractional order models of love and emotions have been developed. So that is most interesting area, and they are claimed to give better representation than the integer order. So one may see that. So there are many more applications. So like in food sciences, and recently in that pandemic situation, so on that COVID-19, so there are so many papers related to that particular problem. They can do that fractional modeling, and they can try to give that best solution for that problem. So that is the application of fractional differentiation. And we may categorize that to applications to mathematical physics. Now very first and interesting problem. So that was the first attempt. So attempt by Abel. So he used Abel integral equation. It may be important to point out that the first application of fractional calculus was made by Abel in the solution of an integral equation that arises in the formulation of the Pythagorean problem. This problem deals with the determination of the shape of frictionless plane curve through the origin in a vertical plane, along which a particle of mass m can fall in a time that is independent of the starting position. If the sliding time is constant, say capital T, then the Abel integral equation is given by this equation, square root of 2g into t is equals to integration 0 to eta minus y raised to minus half into f dash of y dy. Now this can be converted to equivalent, say, fractional integral equation, which is given by that last equation. So that is the first attempt. So Abel was the first who can try to take the help of fractional calculus. So again, there are many applications. So fractional diffusion equation, viscoelasticity, fluid mechanics, applications in econophysics, robotics and control theory. So whenever we can deal with that control theory, so that again that control, so that you can equivalently convert it to fractional differential equations, and maybe there are fractional controls, and say, as I said, so there are PIDs, so of fractional order, so that is emerging area. So one can take the help of that and maybe if those who are interested, they can continue that area. The fractional damped simple harmonic oscillator, single thermocouple junction, temperature in measurements of heat flux, ultrasonic wave propagation in human cancellous bone, modeling of speech signals using fractional calculus, sound wave propagation in rigid porous materials. Now see that for more applications to that engineering and day-to-day life problems, one can refer the book written by Shantanu Das, who is working in IIT Mumbai. These are the references. Thank you. I would say I have tried my level best to explain this concept. I thank all the participants who have actively attended and listened patiently. So once again, I would like to thank organizers and also thanks to the coordinators. Over to you, madam.
Thank you, sir. Purnima, ma'am. Yes. So please give vote of thanks. Okay, thank you. A very good evening to one and all. On behalf of the management of Hindustan College of Engineering and Technology, Department of Mathematics, and my own behalf, it gives me an immense pleasure to deliver the vote of thanks for this one-week International Faculty Development Program on Application and Implements of Mathematics. Today is the last day and today's topic is an introduction to fractional differential equations. Let me first of all start by giving glory to the Almighty God for making today's FDP a resounding success. First and foremost, I thank our chief guest Vinod B. Karat, Assistant Professor NBN Singaur College of Engineering, Solapur, Maharashtra, who despite his busy schedule has found time to grace this international FDP. Thank you, sir. Your presentation clears about the fractional differential equations. Thank you. I express my heartfelt thanks to our head of the department, Dr. K.P. Uma, for her constant support and guidance. Thank you, ma'am. I thank the other coordinators, Mrs. B. Kausalya and Ms. M. Kritika, for their support to make this international FDP a successful one. Thank you, friends. I thank all the participants for the effective participation and patience listening. Thank you all. Last but not least, I thank the student coordinator, Ms. Shiv Varsha, for her technical support. Thank you, Varsha.
Thank you.
Once again, I thank you all. Thank you, sir. Thank you for accepting our invitation. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
I shall wind up the session, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.